more so, you also need to communicate honestly, have a trustworthy brand. Don't go and overpromise when you know that you cannot deliver. And so I come back to Nana and on the Kasapreko case, and we would like a very practical view to see that looking back on your own journey, your expansion journey as Kasapreko, what were some of the most difficult mistakes or miscalculations that you encountered when scaling into new markets?
Thanks, Anne. I think that my AGI brother has touched on some of them. Capacity constraints. So you see the opportunity, but how big is the opportunity? So immediately you want to step into the opportunity, then you realize that I don't have the capacity to meet that opportunity. So whilst identifying the opportunity, the challenge is your capacity. So you need to work towards it. So that is one of the key things that will hinder your progress. Now, the next thing is about funding. When I was presenting, I indicated that after COVID, we had to change our supply chain model by moving from a 3-month cycle to 6 months, meaning that you are now going to lock up funds in raw materials. What else do you have to now run the business? So you have the opportunity to expand, but you don't have money to run that because cash flow is not there. Take a typical Ghanaian distributor. You give them the product, you go there, the person is in the office, so getting even your money back then becomes difficult. So cash flow is one of the issues. And if you remember, I think last year or so, we went into the bond market to secure at least funds to help us run quicker. And I know that this year we will also come into the equity market to get at least partners to support us to move forward. So these two are key. Aside that, I mentioned competition earlier on. Once you are taking that step, you dream today, somebody is also dreaming. Because we are all wearing the same lens, looking at the same market. So once I think that water is an opportunity because we are spoiling our water bodies, so very soon there will not be any water to drink except bottled water. Somebody has also thought about it. So you bring that product today, the next day, theirs is out. So it shrinks your opportunity. So but how do you beat that person? Probably by way of your packaging, your communication, the meeting the consumer at their various start points could be a game changer. So basically, these are some of the few things that I would want to mention. The rest, I don't want to say it here. People will steal our strategy. All right, thanks.
And while we are on you, you did mention your strategy as you were going through your presentation. And you talked about some key investments that you did, and using the backdrop of, financing and all of that. I was quite intrigued. How did you? I'm sure, yes, you got financing, but how did you navigate it? Because it looked like you did all of that, overnight.
So, at that time, most of the financing was external, not internal. So you would have to now get a facility from, let's say, Germany or United States, and it comes at a price. And I can bet you we are still paying the price. But thankfully, now in Ghana, you have more of the banks approaching us because they've seen that we are on the right trajectory. So they want to be part of the success story. And the bond market has helped greatly last year. And we expect that now going into the equity market, we'll be able to galvanize more funds to support the business growth agenda.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I come back to Isaac and then possibly Elvis as well. So what are some of the financing instruments, that are most relevant to SME? So I know in the previous panel, this came up where it appears not everyone really knows what they are supposed to go in for, and then they make the commitments, and then they realize that the process is longer than expected. So just to educate us over here, what are some of the financing instruments that are most important or most relevant to SMEs?
Thank you so much. So the first point that I will start from is that whatever financial instruments available in EcoBank will be a function of your need. You need to define your need properly, whether your need is short-term, is medium-term, or is long-term. Based on the need, the structures you have in place, the transparency with which you communicate, it becomes very easy for the bank to link your need to our strategy. Because don't forget, the funds will be lending to you It's depositors' funds. And we need to go and account to them how we've used their funds. Now, based on that need, we will be very clear in our minds as to what you need. Because somebody can approach the bank and say, I want an overdraft. But you later find out that he's going to put up a building. So he clearly does some form of patient capital, or if it's from a bank, a long-term loan. The bank has all these services or financial products available. The bank know your need. So let me give a typical example. In the past 3 years, we agreed as part of our strategy that we'll support women-led businesses. And when I say women-led businesses, it's not that we are being biased towards the women. No. We told ourselves that, okay, businesses that women have majority shareholding, or even if it's a man, he employs a lot of women, we want to support them. Why? Because most of our domestic system is the women, apart from the few homes where father and mother are together, is the women who run the show. So we are like, okay, as part of our social responsibility as a bank, we want to dedicate this amount of money to support women-led businesses. So let's say if you come to EcoBank today and your business, you can prove to us that women are predominant part of the business, we can give you CD equivalent of $50,000 loan without any collateral. I think we deserve a round of applause. Just by telling, it can be a huge entity, but for an SME, you see the equivalent of $50,000 is quite a lot. It can do a lot of things for you. And beyond that, foreign entities, to find a way where we can create blended funds for the SMEs. So it's the typical borrowings where you have to pay through the roof. We have certain areas like that Greek area that when you come in, you get concessionary rate. The critical thing is truthfulness in the communication. And I'll go back to what somebody said earlier, that the Greek area does not look like it's a desirable area. But the critical thing is that it's part of our economy. And based on which today, as EcoBank, we've built the skill set to be able to meet the need in that area. So as I'm talking to you now, most of my executives are within the cashew areas to see how we can serve them better. Because most SMEs, when they come to us, may not even have the collateral. So what will determine our ability to serve you is the good structures you have in place, the data available. How do you keep your books? What is your digital system like? I.e., if you keep money in Momo, do you keep the database? Can we get information from you to help us iterate and draw some deductions to be able to right-size a facility for you? So where I will land is that we actually
internet banking, even WhatsApp banking, a couple of technology for those not in Ghana and in other countries, leverage on those technology tools to see how you can make payments seamless. And documentation was one of the things cited as a major problem in the first session. And I still think that if you are able to leverage on technology that can digitize your documents, where people can't tamper with your documents, there's different tools that you as an SME, you don't need to pay heavy amounts because you might hear the words AI and say, that one's not for me. No, it's for you. It's not expensive. You leverage on those tools. You want to go and make business presentations, leverage on AI. Don't just think, okay, I need to go to the bank because I know somebody, my brother is there. There are also governance structure in that bank that he would not be able to bypass. So why can't you leverage on tools that would help you build your business, that would help you scale up the business? And for areas where the likes of my brother has mentioned about Casaperenco, where you have blocked funds, there are also payments infrastructure that, like PAPS has done, to help repatriate blocked funds in a lot of African countries today, where people carry out business, but because these blocked funds cannot be repatriated from those countries due to FX shortage, due to currency fluctuation in those countries, or due to high dependency of third-party currency, FX currencies. PAPS has been able to do that for people and repatriate that in local currencies with our platforms that we provide through the banks or through the fintech entities that we are already working with. So I think these are areas that SMEs should start looking at, and we can leverage on these points and not just thinking, okay, I want to go to EcoBank because Isaac has mentioned that we have this product. Let me go and meet Isaac and get this. If he starts to speak his banking terms, you get confused because you don't even have an understanding of what he's saying.
So first, I would say get that education, start to leverage digital platforms to make your payments, start to collaborate with a couple of entities. Don't think these are risk elements that you would not be able to use them. Think about the cost. And also leverage AI. Please, you can make presentations that you go and justify your business case. And it's free. You don't need to pay for it. It's on the internet. If you don't have somebody, if you're not literate enough, get somebody that would help you. You've sent your children to school. For those who are elderly, bring your son and tell him, go to the internet and look for a tool that will help me do my presentation. I need to go to the bank and present. Don't just think about, I have a relative, or I will leverage on that big guy in the bank to help me. No. Leverage, equip yourself to make yourself relevant to the banks. I think that's where I'll stop. Thank you.
Yeah, these are really, really great points. Really, really great points. About a week ago, a colleague of mine, I asked him to put a presentation together for me. And it was very short notice. And he did it in 5 minutes. And he used AI. And I was so impressed and very happy with the results. So very, very great points. You have presentations. You have to submit your business case to the bank. Please, let's leverage AI. AI in itself is an educative tool. You can use that as well to educate yourself on the right tools and all of that, even before you go and engage the various parties that you would want to speak to. So I'll quickly move to Osei and then Dr. Kobna. So from an advisory perspective, right, what do banks and investors typically look for before supporting SMEs with regional ambitions? And I'm coming to you from the investor perspective. Yes, so you give me the advisory perspective.
All right, thank you very much. So when it comes to how SMEs access funds from banks and investors, and especially for SMEs that are looking at expanding beyond their current markets, it's a conversation that goes beyond the basic credit worthiness discussion we have. For me, I call it a trust conversation. How do you convince the provider of funding that they can trust you? And you do that by answering 3 questions, right? The first question is to say, how do I tell this funding provider that I have done this before? Second question, how do I prove to the funding provider that I know what I want to do in the new market I want to enter? Then the last and most important question for funding providers is, how do I convince him he says money, I'll be able to pay it back? So these 3 things drive how banks and investors look at who they give their money to. So the first point is to say they would want to assess what you have done, and it goes back to the point we've made earlier, to say you need a strong grounding, a strong base. What have you done with your current business? What has the projections been? What has performance been over the years? So that's the typical credit worthiness like we know it. That's what they would do. Show them that you've been able to do this in your current business. The second question is, or the second point is, how do you tell them that you have a robust plan to enter that new market? How are we convincing them that you are not following an opportunity noise? And we know what opportunity noise is. Opportunity noise is saying, I hear water sales in Kenya, and that becomes the basis for which people make market entry decisions. But it goes beyond that. How do you convince the investor that you have done your research, you have a good proposition, and you are able to adapt to the complexities of the new market? That's very important. So a good market entry strategy or market entry plan will be another thing investors or banks will look at. Now, the third thing, the most important thing to providers of funding, how do I get my money back? And how you show that is how you convince the investor that you are accountable. Do you have the right systems, right? Do you have the right projections? What are the assumptions underlying your projections? So these 3 key things, your track record, your ability to show that you have a plan, and your ability to demonstrate that you can pay the money back. Those are the 3 things they look out for.
Okay. So I come to Dr. Kobina.
No, thanks. So I just wanted to, because I think it ties in very nicely. It looks like EcoBank is doing a good job with SMEs. I hope it's not just a sales pitch. But to Nana's earlier point, because I have a problem with African banks. To Nana's earlier point, Casa Perco, okay, one of the biggest indigenous companies you can find anywhere on this continent. Perhaps the biggest indigenous company in Ghana, one of. My business, which I have some of my partners in the room today, and one of my partners is going to be a keynote speaker tomorrow. We give out 700 million USD in small business loans across 7 African countries. We are by far the largest microfinance company on this continent. We own and operate over 300 restaurants in these 7 African markets. We are the largest restaurant operator in Africa. Nana made a point. He said he was raising money from the US and Germany. And now the Ghanaian banks are coming to him. This is one of the largest companies we have. It's the same thing for us. Raising money from banks here, it's hell. You guys, the SME owners in the crowd now, you can attest to it. I don't know what these guys were talking about in the morning. I'm sorry. It's all textbook stuff. Let's talk practicals. In Kenya, okay, I'll give you an example. When we were expanding the microfinance across these African markets, at that time I had come from Harvard, thinking these banks would do something, right? Anyway, so I look up, myself and my partner, we look at the African map, we're like, okay, we're going to go to Nigeria, we're going to go to Kenya, we're going to go to Tanzania, we're going to go to Sierra Leone, Liberia, Mozambique, Zambia. These are all countries we're in. Uganda. So then, it's okay, which banks are there? Of course, EcoBank was there, he's right. Then 33 African countries. There was also UBA, there was Zenith, there was a few of these Nigerian banks. So we select one, which wasn't EcoBank then. We select one in anticipation, based on the textbook knowledge, that if you're in all these markets, when you need financing to on-lend to small businesses, they're going to come through. In Kenya, we are 5 times larger than the bank we bank with. I mean, it's crazy. We went for a facility, and it's been a freaking year. Nothing. We are 5. They see our numbers. Look, these guys, they just dilly-dally. So, for these SMEs, I think, what the gentleman there is Eric. No, yeah, Elvis. No, this guy. Osei was talking about equity investments, and that's where I think a lot of you guys should focus your attention on. You need strategic partners. We've done a lot of equity investments across Africa, right? Because the banks are not going to do anything for you. You need strategic partners and investors. Trust me, these African banks, they are your worst nightmare. EcoBank might be different, but having all these businesses across all these African countries, we have about 30,000 employees across all these African markets. I can put my life on the line that these guys, they're not going to do much for you. You guys have applied. I was going to say, the SMEs here, right? If you could do a survey, apply for a loan for any of these banks. Cross all your T's, dot all your I's. And next year, we'll be in the same room, what Joe Jackson was talking about. And you guys will tell me, okay, Kobe, 100 of us applied for a loan. You tell me the percentage that actually got a facility. You'll be, you guys have applied for facilities. You know what I'm talking about. African banks lend to government. They buy treasury bills. Very lazy type of investments, right? And so I would really encourage you, I think EcoBank is different based on what they just said. But I would really encourage you to start looking at equity type of investments. And we've done quite a lot of that on the continent. And we're also very circumspect, right? It's very, very difficult to get equity investments. It's not that you come and you pitch and you get an investment. No, it doesn't work that way, because we think African businesses, back to what I was saying and my fellow panelists were talking about, African businesses lack structure. And that's also very, very important for even equity investments. But the good thing about equity investment, your kidney as collateral, your car, your house, ridiculous requirements, right? We come in as partners, we invest with you and then we grow with you. You know, you should find partners that can grow with you, have proper management experience that they can advise you on. Banks are a bit hands off, right? In as much as they can give you a loan, but they're a bit hands off. SMEs need discipline, and at times you have to force this discipline on them. It's super, super important. It's for your own good. It has to be forced on you, you know, because you can get a loan and then you end up going to buy a flashy car, a trip to Dubai, things that don't matter, right? So it has to be forced on you. This type of discipline is super, super important.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. A round of applause, please. And so we need to wrap up. We need to wrap up pretty soon. I would give the audience just one person. Unfortunately, I think you asked a question in the previous panel discussion. No, in the interest of fairness, I'll give this young gentleman here the opportunity and then we wrap up. Unfortunately.
All right, thank you. My name is Santa from African AI Governance Index. I'm blessed by your submissions, and I'd like to show a question or a delicate question to all of the panelists we have here. So, the first question is that how has AI or the adoption of AI in your companies or in your field of work actually impacted or progressed your business? And the second thing is, if it has, what is your advice for SMEs, or let me say founders and the C-suite on the adoption of AI? And the last question is, how would you deal with replacing a worker, or let's say the human resource, with AI? Thank you.
Please, can I add my straightforward question?
Unfortunately, we have a hard stop. So while you have two questions, I will allow the panelists to choose one to respond to in the interest of time, please. So we can quickly go ahead.
That's a tough one. But yes, I think in this modern day and age, at each level of our business operations, you would find some bit of technology in there. Casapreco is a manufacturing company, so to speak. But some aspects will deal with AI, especially where you need to send communications out. This is not a time to now go and sit overnight to try and draft something for your distributors. AI can give you that in just 1 minute, and that will ease the pressure. I think the fear is that whilst AI is doing that, it means somebody is being redundant. But the point is that we all know AI is machine. They don't put in that human touch and effort. And that is why when you even use ChatGPT to write something, they will tell you, go and humanize it. So let it look like it's a human being who is communicating. So yes, the adoption is there, but it doesn't mean that you are now going to throw away people. You teach people to adopt the AI and use it to work. That's it.
Should be put in context, right? So what about your business, or which aspect of your business needs to be optimized? And that comes when you are able to have a holistic view of where the gaps are within your business. So people think about AI and they think, okay, let me find a software that replaces my accountant. That's not how it works. You may replace your accountant, but you have significant gaps within your operations. That doesn't solve your problem. So before you adopt AI, it's important for you to have a holistic understanding of your operations, where you are, where you need to get to, and what the gap is. Having that holistic view. And what we have done as KPMG is to put together what we call a 360 assessment framework. That framework looks at 7 key areas around which businesses run effectively. So it's around governance, around operations, around IT, access to market, access to funding, and some other areas. We have some questions that you answer, and you're able to tell where you are relative to best practice. Then you're able to identify the gaps. When the bank people were talking, one thing that came to mind was the fact that the banks have not done too great at creating a pipeline for themselves. They've left the businesses to figure out stuff on their own. Once they are ready, come, I'll give you money. But how are you able to build that pipeline I'm trying to defend you. I mean, against Dr. Ewer's push. How do we build that pipeline? So we've come up with a concept to bridge that gap. It's called the KPMG Africa Center of Excellence. When you have time, you can look it up. What we are doing is to bring SMEs together, conduct this assessment I've spoken about, then help you bridge that gap. That portal also has investors, financiers, banks, and I think banks and Dr. Ewa should get on. You can sign on, put on your investment philosophy. People are able to identify what you are ready to invest once you know your gap and you're able to close it. And we run programs for SMEs to be able to close that gap. Then we match SMEs with providers of funding. So look it up. So my point is, have a holistic view so you can put AI in context. Look up KPMG Center of Excellence and sign up. Thank you.
Yes, so I think the first two panelists have done a good job. Have done justice to your question. So for our remaining panelists, I would like to ask what's one key takeaway that you want the audience to remember this discussion for? So I'll start with you, Elvis.
Okay, so mine is around speed to markets in terms of you want your, and I will come from the perspective of payments, to be honest. You want to pay right now. It can be ridiculously tough to send money to someone you bought goods from outside Ghana. I'm using Ghana because it's where we're talking about. With PAPS, you can do that seamlessly within seconds at a lower cost, and it has also helped to aid your operations within the markets where you operate. Because in the markets where you operate, you don't need to go and source for third-party FX. You can use your local currency to still pay someone in another country. And that's where I would end. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So Dr. Ewa, in a few sentences, if you could give us your takeaway for the audience. In fact, in a few words.
So my key takeaway is very simple. For the Ghanaians in here, there's something called Ghanaian excellence or Ghanaian privilege, very similar to white privilege. It works very well on the continent. Take advantage of it and expand and be disciplined. That's all. Two things.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, so I think that from all the discussions we've had, it is obvious that there are two key factors that influences the success, growth, or scaling up of your business. That is external and internal factors. The internal factors, you have control over it because you manage it. So when it comes to governance, the kind of funds you should borrow, the kind of dealings you should have with your suppliers, your internal staff, and so on and so forth, you have control over it. Make sure you manage it very well. The external factors, you don't have control over it. And therefore, for those ones, they can hit you and they can destroy your business. But if you have a very resilient system of your internal structures, your capacity to deal with the external becomes easier. And dealing with the external, there are also ways to handle it. Join associations. Be part, deal with the external factors. I come from a business association as association head, and I know the impact associations make in policies that impact on businesses that are operating as SMEs. So be part of a network. I believe today you are here, you are learning a lot, you are picking information, you are having network. You are way better off than somebody who is sitting at home or sitting in his office and not here. So pick information, be part of a network that impacts on your business so that the external factors you don't have control, others will deal with it for you. But the internal factors is within your control and work at it. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly,
Yes, so thank you so much. I mentioned the EcoBank Single Market Trade Hub. I would strongly advise that following here, go there, log in. We'll share the link with the program organizers. It helps you. It is a single platform that can help you both with your advertising of your product, see what your competitors are doing elsewhere and also in Ghana. And most importantly, is on the same platform, it can also help you aggregate, do your collections, do your payments, and maximize. But lastly, to add, in EcoBank, we differentiate among the SMEs, and this is in direct response to my brother, what he said. We have the micro businesses, we have a different product suite or value proposition for them. We have the small businesses, we have a different proposition. Then we also have the medium businesses. So depending upon where you are within the value chain, we respond to you to make sure we can grow you through the cycle. And for me, I've seen so many businesses that we've grown from very minute businesses to become big corporates like the Casaprec we are talking about here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And just to summarize all that we've heard so far, so good governance, build trust, build the right partnerships, stay steady, stay strong, leverage technology where it's most relevant. Thank you to our panelists. A round of applause, please. And thank you for being an awesome audience. My name is Anne. Thank you so much. Okay, yeah, we'll take a picture.